all in all, done. Joe Root finally breaking his IPL virginity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Rasi Vanderdusen replacement. Rajasthan let go of Rasi in the before the auction, and now they've got back Joe Root in the 11th hour, literally. So, I mean, I don't expect him to feature, but maybe they will use him as a Chepok specialist or Kotla specialist or whatever. Like,
That
I'll
is
be interested.
basically just for the namesake.
Perhaps, but
Or maybe Rajasthan's England quota.
But
Yeah.
so Root was saying basically he wanted to get experience of how he wanted some experience of playing cricket in India in lead up to the World Cup, right? So I think he'll be very happy
Yeah.
because even if he doesn't play a lot of matches, he gets to be a couple of months. He gets to spend a couple of months in India ahead of the World Cup. Plus now, the burden of him has been taken slightly away in Test matches as well. So it's a win-win situation for Root. Either way, it's not about the
Yeah.
money. I don't
But
think he has the
yeah, but I
detail.
think it's win-win only for only for Root, right? I mean, Rajasthan have,
Yeah, yeah.
in my opinion, do not
Yeah.
get anything by buying Root.
So,
Yeah.
so the basically like what Anirudh said about playing in Indian conditions now, like when we used to bowl in the nets for all these teams. So what these foreign players do, like who are regular setups in their national team, what they do is they don't practice for the game situation when they're in IPL or anything like that. Even if they're playing some Champions League for 2020, which is irrelevant. So they don't play for the match practice. They just do it for if we come to India. So they target to spinners. So they try to rectify their, like what their weakness is. They try to work on that rather than practicing for the IPL team or the for whichever other team. So that is one thing what they do actually.
So, went through Root, which was a bizarre pick, or I mean, maybe you should have seen it coming, but still, what do you guys think of KKR snapping up Litan Das? What's the reasoning behind the signing of Litan Das?
So you
Backup for
you spoke
Jagdish.
about you spoke about RR's England quota. KKR have a Bangladesh quota.
Bangladesh
They
quota.
They have two, no, this time they have Shakib
they've
and
doubled it this year.
but
Ah,
what does okay? So Lithan, I guess they have Gurbaz already, and they have
Yeah.
Lithan now, and they have Jagdishan as well. So they have their fair share of keepers this time around. Unlike what was, the mess that was until
Yeah. Yeah.
2022. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to think of Shakib again. I don't see a lot of merit behind Shakib because I don't think Eden will provide turners as well, and I don't think Shakib is good enough batter in T20s as well, unless you're chasing a 125-ish, 130-ish target. So it's a very curious pick, and it's a very good question from Mehul, which is if Shakib can be picked, why not Shanaka? And Shanaka specializes in finishing. Delhi, someone like a Delhi could have gone for him easily instead of you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think the only thing that I can think of is maybe a very far-fetched backup for Sunil Narayan, if at all something. um, No, he's not available due to some injury, or maybe if they go on and play at venues like Delhi, Chennai, which
hmm.
assists spin a lot, maybe, and even Russell is at times injury prone, and those venues are not really Russell friendly, right? You
This
won't
is
see targets of 200 there.
yeah,
So
that's
maybe,
true.
maybe, just maybe. I mean, I don't rate Shakib Al Hasan, the T20 batter, very high. But I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, but I'm very happy with them snapping David Wiese. So at least they
yeah.
have.
I, on this subject where you mentioned, David Wiese, I actually think that it's a good buy. He could be actually a decent backup for someone like Andre Russell.
Andre Russell,
Uh,
yeah.
and yeah, the questions about Shanaka, like Anirudh said, that Delhi could have gone for uh, Shanaka or Wiese. I just had a look at Delhi's squad. They have 9 players who can bat in the top three. That's 36%. That's 36% of their squad, and
And
that's not
none.
about it. Out of those 9 players, 4 are overseas. In my view, at best, you should have 2 overseas players who can bat in the top three. because that is one position which is easily available in the Indian domestic market. You cannot be spending 50% of your quota of overseas players for batters who bat in the top three.
Yeah.
Warner, Salt, Rusu, and Marsh. And
Hmm.
the
To a lesser extent, Powell also is better off utilized in the middle overs. He's not an out and out finisher. I mean, we've seen how he has thrived at number four for the West Indies. He's improved his play against spin. So you can't call Powell a specialist finisher as well. So he belongs more to the top order category than the finisher. So
and you know,
eh,
this isn't the first time that it has happened with Delhi. It was a feature of their squad building in 2019 as well, and in 2020. There is just complete refusal to learn anything from the mistakes.
So who's their finisher, Gurkirat? I mean, I can't see a finisher at all. So they either have to play Pant as a finisher, which we have seen is a very bad idea. Riley Rossov as a finisher has worked for Multan in the past, but me and Anirudh were checking out his numbers. He has only played 6 innings, I guess, at number six, and a few innings at number five, but a sample size is too low to small to
Also,
judge.
also you can't. He might have worked as a finisher for Multan in the PSL,
Hmm. But
but
because they have Tim David, right?
no disrespect over here, but PSL I feel is an elongated version to some extent of Hong Kong sixes because of the conditions that are there. Small boundaries, flat batting pitches, like it's you rarely see a score under 190, right? So in those conditions, it's much easier to deliver as a finisher. Uh, their best finisher right now is Prayers, and they hope that Warner or one or someone in the top three, Warner or Marsh, bats through, because without that they'll struggle to finish strong. So like I said, their best hope as of now is Prayers.
Yeah, or maybe there is a associate nation player named Blessing Prayers, whom
Hmm.
they can replace someone with. Okay, I mean let's go. Maybe let's go
Score wise.
squad by squad, and all of us might be in an agreement that SRH were clearly the winners from this auction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
Or do
clearly
we have
came with
second
an
thoughts?
advantage.
I
And
think RR have done well as well. I think
without
I think
without doing a lot, you mean?
Yeah, them RR picking Zampa, like we had discussed in the previous week. I said that they could go for Zampa because Chehel and
Yeah,
Ashwin
yeah.
haven't been in great form, so they could go for someone like someone like Zampa, and they did. And I'm just reading that they actually bought Root as well. So again, uh, uh, I think they've done right quite well in the auction.
Yeah,
Hmm, hmm.
their depth is excellent actually.
And
Again, the one
even though I haven't seen someone like Donovan Ferreira, but I had read a few things about him. He had some
So,
okayish numbers, and
so
he's supposed
just
to be
to
a very good player.
just to tell you about Donovan Pereira in cricket.com's impact scores. He was the second most impactful player in the SA T20 league after Devald Griffith this season. So we had an eye on him. We also had an eye on Andre Berger as well. We were actually think assuming that he'd get a bid, but good for Ferreira to get a bid. Having said that, I mean, let me just go back to the SRH squad, and we were discussing something which is quite different and which we might see uh, uh, in the season. We were trying to figure out what their 11 is, and maybe so our thinking is, and I say our because uh, 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 both Anirudh and myself, we sort of discussed it before hopping on that they'll open with Abhishek and Mayank with Phillips at three, Tripathi four, Makram five, then Brook, Samad, Sundar, Jansen, Bowie, Umrah. Now people might sort of disagree that they are low on a bowling option, but they can actually go on and replace Abdul Samad with Karthik Tyagi
Voila.
or or even a spinner. So in a lot of ways, SRH's first 12 looks pretty sorted after this auction.
Like, yeah, the thing is like in this auction, it was basically not buying players. It was about thinking about your impact player as well.
Yeah.
In that perspective, I felt SRH were very good with it. Like they
Hmm.
have three, four impact players who can make some impact. Like if you want a batter, even if they're batting second, if they're batting second, they have somebody like a Samath Vyas, Sanveer Singh, who's a very good finisher. You can play others, Mayank Markande. You can play with Adil Rashid. They have a lot of choices who can be really impactful when it comes to that impact role. So I felt
Hmm.
when you are heading into this IPL auction, you had to keep in mind what your impact players are going to be. And in that way, Sunrisers were very good at it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
my only slight concern about SRH again is that in case Samad does not play, right, it feels like they might be probably they don't have enough firepower towards the end. So in that case, they might look at probably delaying the entry of Harry Brook, or deploying him more as a number 6 towards the last 8-9 overs rather than playing him at 4 or 5, because one of it does feel like one of Phillips, Markram, or Harry Brook, one of these three have to go on and play the finisher role, because they don't also have an out and out finisher. Or maybe another option is playing Klassen
to
as a
front
finisher.
load, or maybe they can just front load, right? I mean,
Well, front load, but I mean,
yeah,
you look at, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that they don't have your conventional specialist finisher in their squad. I mean,
yeah,
as useful as Sundar might be with the bat in hand, I think we can all agree that he still has a long way to go as a T20 batter,
Yeah.
especially as a lower order T20 batter. And while
yeah.
Marco Jansen can hit a couple of sixes here and there, nobody trusts him with the bat in any format till now. He has potential undoubtedly, but that is there. So one of the few concerns I see with this SRH lineup is one is the absence of a proper world class proven finisher, although they can adjust to make up for it. And two is the absence of a wicket taking spinner potentially in the first 11. It depends on how, like Anirudh said, how they try to use Adil Rashid or Mayank
Mayank
Markande,
Markande.
whoever. But we can all agree that from what we've seen so far, neither Adil Rashid nor Mayank Markande seem to fit into the starting 11. So
Hmm,
Sundar,
hmm.
yes, Sundar is not your wicket taking spinner. Abhishek Sharma is not your wicket taking spinner. So that is one of the few concerns about
But
SRH.
are
I,
you over here? Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
I think that they might have, even if they start with three overseas batters in the 11, they might have to resort to two overseas batters and one spinner in Adil Rashid and probably one pacer among Faruqi or Jansen. The other thing that they have to be careful about is that who do they choose as their captain, because they potentially they I think the safest bet could be to make Mayank Agarwal the captain, or maybe a Washington Sundar, because if they make an overseas captain and that overseas captain doesn't work or is not in form, then they are again stuck with it, and they've had that poor experience with
Yeah.
Warner going off the boil in 2021 season before. So
And
now will
Williamson
they,
also last year.
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Williamson as well.
Williamson
So
also last year.
yeah, so it's not even a case of once bitten twice shy. They've been bitten more than once, so they need to make that call and make sure that that call that captain is an Indian captain. uh, I would have preferred going for Washington Sundar as a captain, but then he himself has had not a great luck in the last 2 years, where he's either been injured or has had some other fitness issue, or even got COVID. Mayank, on the other hand, has some captaincy experience in domestic cricket as well, but he has had a poor year also, and his issues with the moving ball have now been telegraphed to the entire world. So they really need to pick their captain smartly. uh,
I
Yeah,
guess
they could
they'll go
also
with
they could
Bhuvneshwar Kumar as their
yeah,
captain.
I was just
As
coming to that. The other the option outside of this becomes Bhuvneshwar Kumar, who again has not been the banker that he was at the death early on. So who they select as a captain is going to be very very important in terms of the 11 that they will be able to play once a few results go up and down, and that is bound to happen in this format. No one can stop that.
hmm. Yep, that's one area of concern. Now we'll quickly talk about RR as well, since we touched upon them. There was one obvious hole that they had to fill at number 7, finding a proper all rounder. I think they've done that with Holder, so their starting 11 is almost fixed. I mean, is there any obvious concerns that we see with RR?
Uh, when it comes to RR, the one of the few concerns last year, or probably the biggest concern last year, was that their tail started. Their tail was long, and you had, I mean, as much as Ashwin got promoted down up the order to sometimes do damage control or extend the batting order or whatever. There were times when their tail got exposed. A good mitigating factor is that one, obviously they have Jason Holder who can probably bridge the gap, bridge act as a bridge between the batting and bowling. But also the impact player rule is probably a boon for a team like RR. You know, now you can play your six batters, take out someone and bring in a bowler, or play your all your bowlers, take out someone and just sub Chehel out, right? If he is not gonna bat, then you can bring in someone like now probably they don't have to play both Padikkal or Jaiswal based on all this team combination and stuff. So the depth in their bowling is just amazing. I just looked through their squad and they have literally every single base covered. I mean, it feels like they've even purchased a backup for Kuldeep Sen. KM Asuf kind of feels like a backup for Kuldeep Sen, And they have Obed
Also,
and
also another thing, they retained Navdeep Saini. And Navdeep
yes,
Saini in
yes,
recent times, while playing for India A and in the domestic circuit, he's getting his pace back up again. So if
Hmm.
Navdeep Saini is getting back to his best, he was even drafted to the India squad for the Test
Yeah.
series. It's another thing, I think he got injured again or was not available or had a niggle just before the second Test. But if Navdeep Saini continues to grow and become better, then they have another option. And
yeah,
I do feel that in 2018 and 2019, no, in 2019 and 2020 rather, he was actually very good for RCB. After that, he just, for some reason, I don't know what happened with him, but he completely lost his zip post the injury that he got in Gaba when he made his when he played his second Test in that Gaba. After that, he's lost pace, he's lost some zip. But if he gets back to being the kind of Navdeep Saini that he was in 2019 and 2020, that's another very very good option for Rajasthan Royals in the Indian fast bowling department.
And
Um,
the
I,
other
I,
thing, the other thing is like they have a backup and a backup's backup as well. Like Zampa, and if Chahal is gonna be a concern, then you have Zampa. If Zampa is also gonna be a concern, you have Murugan Ashwin as well. So if you are playing with Ravichandran Ashwin throughout, and you'll keep him as your defensive bowler, you have three attacking spinners. And it's not that impact player is not just before it starts. You'll be choosing them before the start or something like that. Even in the mid of the innings, you can change
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So
Four
Hmm.
normally.
for that, it's this is going to be very helpful for them if they have three leg spinners.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So last year, I don't think they had any backup for Chahal or Ashwin.
Hmm. Yeah.
They didn't
Good
have
point.
anyone. So this
Good
year
point.
they have covered the top. That is really
So,
good.
like one team,
So,
unlike Delhi, RR have actually gone improved on their squad and
Yeah.
taking into consideration the introduction of the impact play rule as well. I think we can all safely say that RR on paper look like one of the favorites. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, given that they went into at least the last hurdle, so they have the experience of
I
actually
just
going
hope,
the
but
traveling the last mile.
I just hope that they utilize Parag well. I really think that they need to make that switch. Yes, Akash, when he was earlier on the show, was arguing that if they have bagged Parag to be a finisher for 2 3 seasons, you would ideally want him to continue in doing that role, but it's not working out. And I think it's also too difficult a role for someone like Parag at this age to nail consistently. I do hope that they move Parag to number 4 and have Samson and Admire batting at 5 or 6, depending upon what the situation is. Because if if uh, if Devdutt Padikkal gets out and you need a left-hander, send in Hitmire. If Parag gets out, send in Samson. Because these two players, Samson and Hitmire, I think can finish well. They have the game to do that. And with Holder coming in after that, there is far more security holder and Ashwin than it was earlier, where you just had Ashwin at 7 and you had 4 number 11s. So I hope they do this switch to maximize their squad and the 11, because if that happens, then at least on paper they will have all the bases covered.
Uh,
Hmm. And
I
also it
mean,
will help Samson as well, because if you look at his place in the India's team, I think number 5 and 6 in the T20
Hmm.
team is the place that is available. I don't think Samsung will find a place in the top 4 anytime soon.
I
over
agree.
here, I kind of disagree. Because see, the thing is, when you have depth, you want your best batter to get as many balls you want. Like Samson needs to get to bat as many balls he can. I would never say like I you go into that fifth position and do that. No, I won't say that. But I want Samson to bat higher at number 4, maybe or even number 5, maybe number 5, not at 6, nowhere at 6. So I just want him to face as many balls. You know that you have depth. Why don't you promote himself and try the same game which you want to do it for India? Why do you want to push him down just to it again? It creates that role to role mapping, just like how we did for Dinesh Karthik. Okay, fine, you are only number 7. You're only batting number 7. That is that is going to demotivate again. You're going nowhere. So in that perspective, I would want Samson to bat higher. Probably at number 4 is the best batting position, especially when you have batting depth. He can go all out. If he goes all out and stays from the 10th over, I guess you get another 30-40 runs. Why do you want to waste
Sure,
that
I mean,
30-40
yeah,
runs?
I mean, nitty gritties of it, we'll come back to those later, and we'll see how what the route
We
RR
still have
takes. Moving
8
on,
more
and guys,
teams to get
yeah,
to,
we
I
have
guess.
8 more teams to go, so we
Yeah.
can be a little succinct. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, one more team that I think is fairly balanced is LSG. I'll just put their squad out, and maybe you guys can uh, talk a bit about them. I'm still looking for the backup for Makudo. Yeah, they went ahead and bought Naveen Ulak, which is a decent buy in my opinion. So, what do you guys think?
भाई बैकअप ही बैकअप है भाई मार्कुट के लिए
Ramoresh
you
approach
have Jay,
part.
you have Jaidev Unadkat, Yash Thakur.
I just hope, with LSG, I just hope there isn't a situation where uh, they play Amit Mishra ahead of Bishnoi. Because last season they did play someone like Shabaz Nadeem ahead of Bishnoi, and I couldn't make any sense of it, quite honestly. Uh, I mean, I'm Amit Mishra hasn't. I'm not sure how much cricket has Amit Mishra been playing of late. When he was playing the IPL regularly, he was a very good bowler, and I do think that in 2021, when he got injured, Delhi did miss him. But yeah, I just hope that they don't start with Amit Mishra ahead of Bishnoi because of what they did when they played Nadeem and they dropped Bishnoi. So maybe if they play in Chennai, they could probably play both, and Amit Mishra can be sort of a. I'm not sure if he can be a good mentor because they have very different styles of bowling. Amit Mishra has been someone whose expertise has been in deceiving the batters of the in the air and not off the pitch. He's got at his prime. He's got brilliant dip where he's just drawn batsmen out of the crease and fogged them and taken their wickets. While Bishnoi is a completely different bowler in terms of his operation and trajectory. Very mixed about that buy. And yeah, overall, I think they've done decently. Like I said earlier, that Daniel Sams is a good buy. So is Shefford, but yeah, Naveenul Haq. I'm not sure if he'll get any games, and I'm not sure uh, if Kyle Myers is going to play because they have enough. They also have enough options to bat in the top three.
So as far as LSG is concerned, I don't think there were any holes in their squad or starting 11 even last year. I think it's basically the same situation as England where you have to make the best. You have to ensure that you utilize the resources you have to their potential. And I think LSC did not do it last year. We saw how they wasted Stoinis. They messed up Stoinis' batting position. They could not figure out where to bat Stoinis. And then we saw in the eliminator against RCB, uh, they could not figure out the right tempo to play in the chase. Huda was playing at one pace, KL Rahul was playing at another pace, and they didn't know who to send in at 3-4. You had Badoni play as a finisher for 3-4 matches, then they moved beyond him. They played Manish Pandey for a few matches. So, lots, it's like plenty of cooks in that. It's like there is a cluster of individuals in the top 5, 6, 7. You throw in Krunal as well. Now Puran is into the mix as well. So the same problem exists for LSG. I think their bowling is great. I don't think there is any flaw. Maybe if Markwood breaks down, you have a problem. But the rise of Mohsin Khan probably has also solved a lot of problems for them automatically. So it's all about, in my opinion, when it comes to LSG, is it can they do in England and ensure that every player has a clear role, and the tactical side, and from the tactical side of things, they are flexible enough to make smart decisions and good decisions like what England did in the World Cup. If they do it, I think there is no reason why they can't go all the way, because their bowling, when you look at it from an individual perspective or even from a perspective of the variety they possess or the type of skills they have, I think it's good enough when you compare overall. So it's all about executing it tactically, in my opinion, when it comes to Lucknow. No
And when it comes,
force. Uh,
when
yeah,
it
yeah,
comes, yeah. Somesh, you wanted to
At the
something?
at the end of the day, it'll depend on the approach. Will depend on the captain's approach, right?
flower.
LSG's fortune will rely on which KL Rahul turns up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
one more. Okay.
no, go yeah, go ahead.
So like LSG's team is full of jokers in a card game. You have you have so much of jokers, you won't know where to fit them. It's
Yeah,
just confusing. Where do
Yeah.
you fit it? Where do you fit it? Like
but
you
actually,
never know
on the
that.
other hand, it can also be a strength if they just
Yeah, yeah, of
Actually,
course.
it's a
if they
strength.
stick with a plan.
Double-edged sword.
It's a dream team. Anybody can bowl
Yeah,
in their team.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Gurkeet wants to say something. You're on mute,
You're
Gurkeet.
You're
muted.
mute.
You're muted. Gurkirat, you're
This
muted.
was something that they had last season as well. If I'm
Yeah,
not wrong, in the
exactly.
first 11, they had 8 bowling options, right?
That is
But
what.
what,
That's a
but
dream team.
And
what they need
they
to
they
make
they
sure
were,
this time is,
they were decent, right? I mean, a playoff finish
yeah,
is
I think
as
what they
good as
need
it gets.
to,
After that, it's a lottery. Yeah.
I
It
think
that's
what they need to make sure this time is that their top five more or less remains fixed, which is
It's fixed.
Dickov.
KL opening with QDK, Hooda one down, Puran at four, and Stoinis
Stoinis.
at five.
Stoinis at five.
Uh,
Yeah.
obviously there could be some changes here and there. Maybe if KL Rahul is dismissed early in the power play, then they can look to send in Stoinis at three, and especially if the opposition doesn't have great spinners, or if you know that they are going to attack with pace, then you can do that. Apart from that, it's not that Hooda is very bad against pace. If you need a left-hander at number three, you can send in Puran and you can keep Hooda back. But I think what they need to make sure this time is that Stoinis is not coming to bat at a point of time where he just has to go from ball one. When he had that season with DC in 2020, 2021, if I'm not wrong, or was it 2020? I'm not sure. Where he
2020, I
scored
guess.
some
Yeah.
350. Yeah, 2020, where he scored some
2020.
350
Yeah.
odd runs. Is that the makeup of DC's side was such that Stoinis was somehow getting to come into bat around the 12th, 13th over. He was able to take an over or two, and then from the 15th over onwards, he was just exploding. Also,
Hmm.
he was helped by the pitches in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. In Sharjah, he did struggle to some extent. So they also need to be cognizant of the fact that where do you need and how do you fit, which players where, which is something again what Anirudh said very well, that they have a lot of jokers, but they need to know how they are going to fit in those jokers in those situations.
And
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I see just Mayank Agarwal as a big miss for LSG, because we saw how they started with Manish Pandey last year, and then they switched to Manan Vora eventually. Now imagine if they could have upgraded with Mayank, and I think they were in the bidding war for quite a while when it came to Mayank, but they couldn't quite get hold of him. So if had they secured Mayank, I think that would have been excellent for them. But again, now they probably have to play one of Vora or Krunal Pandya, I guess, in the top six now. So that is also that, because again, you can't use all your big players in the top five and then leave the finishing to Krunal Pandya, because
Hmm.
there's no Jason Holder. Remember, I think they let go of holder as well, and I don't think they have any other finisher in the squad right now apart from Puran and who's it, Stoinis. So yeah, that is there. So it's again about if they could have just upgraded on Manan Vora, that would have been a great option for them. But unfortunately, they were not able to do it. So that still remains a slight.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, they have a good 11, right? I mean, they were definitely saving money for Puran because I think they
Mhm.
overspent on him.
A
But
lot.
apart from Puran, they did not even get into a bidding war with any player. They've almost
Yeah.
bought all the others at the best price.
And one more issue I see also is again we joked about it all through the action. Mark would back up. Is
Yeah,
that their overseas seam bowling is if Markwood pulls out or he gets injured, right? I mean Romario and Naveen
so
Ulhaq
they
as your,
bought Naveen Ulhaq. Yeah, so maybe let's see.
it's not. I mean Naveen Ulhaq has kind of fallen off in the last couple of years. He's not the he's not the bowler we thought he would become 2 years ago. So
Yeah, but I
that's
mean,
a
see,
problem.
Naveen Ulhaq might not work on Eden Gardens and Wankhede, but he
And
might
one more
work
thing,
on
right?
Chepauk, Delhi, Jaipur, even
And
Hyderabad.
so many year after year, you see it with every league in the world, not just IPL, right? Like there's a thing called second season syndrome. So that could happen to Mohsin Khan this year as well.
Mohsin Khan. Yeah, yeah.
Mohsin
And
Khan had a
even Avish's Khan has been
exactly,
Avish's Khan's
By
form
the
has
way,
been a concern.
by the way, Mohsin Khan hasn't played any cricket
exactly,
since the
He has been
LMO.
injured. Yeah, he has been here in the
Yeah.
NCA.
exactly. So
Okay.
suddenly
Oh,
you
he's at the NCA getting trying to get back fit.
and that makes
I
you
think so.
concerned.
Yeah, that basically means that he's going to be two or three matches again. While finding
Far from
himself
his,
back at the
yeah.
NCA once again, because that's been the
You
ongoing
have
trend in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
you
So
have a 12-year-old returnee test bowler.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have your 12-year-old returnee test bowler, Jadhav
Yeah,
Unadkat, to back up
yeah.
mine.
Yeah, they
No,
got Jaidev Unadkat as well.
that I'm there could be a time in the recent future where you would have the same amount of or same number of Indian players rehabilitating themselves at the NCA who are in a contention for a spot in the national squads, and and those the same number of players would be actually be playing for India. That is something which could be a realistic possibility in the near future. And I'm not joking about this, because the amount of cricket that India have been playing, and the amount of injury mismanagement that has been happening of late, without any
Hmm.
information, being out in the open about this, really makes you think that what is really happening at the NCA.
Yeah, and NCA is
right.
Yeah,
coming
I mean,
to near to the
Next,
airport now, so cuts down the
okay.
traveling.
we'll move
From
on to
NCA, let's move on
next,
to any
right?
other team. I think all the
Yeah,
other 7 teams we have spoken about in detail. So maybe we'll just go through them one by one. Let's start with CSK. They were sort of sorted after they bought Stokes. They did not make any surprise additions to their team at a later stage.
Jamison. Jamison
They
was
had
Jameson.
they bought
yeah.
Jamison, but other than that, pretty much sorted. But Jamison, I think we can all agree that he might not be starting.
Huh. Yeah, again, when it comes to CSK, it's one side I just hate analyzing because you just it's a waste of time analyzing them because you don't know what you're gonna get. It's it's like what happened to Gujarat last year. Like we were all of the unanimous opinion that Gujarat had the worst squad and they'll finish in the top bottom two, and they went on to win the league. So again, after that, it's a bit scary to make any statement about any side which we think have had a bad auction. Again, CSK have not had a bad auction. Stokes, let's see how they utilize them. Again, when it comes to Stokes, it's all about how you utilize him because we know that he's not a good finisher in T20s. His best efforts are in the top of the order, and it'll come down to how he can serve as a very effective anchor in the top four. I guess that's one point. Uh, and yeah, they needed probably an overseas pacer after letting go of Dwayne Bravo. Dwayne Bravo retired, and they let go of one more
Adam
pacer.
Min, Adam Min.
Adamman, right? Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So now
Adam
they've
Min.
got Jameson, and it's a curious pick because Uh, Jameson is not T20 is probably his weakest format, and he's not again someone who's not played any cricket for the last 6 7 months. So again, let's see how it pans out. But yeah, Gurkit, what's your take?
See, I completely agree with whatever you mentioned in terms of numbers and everything else. But I still feel Stokes is the kind of clutch player that you need, and you know that he'll be able to deliver in the most kind of pressure situations. I agree, and I myself said it earlier that his best position at right now is to open. But I think what they are also probably looking at is that because last season what happened was that in a couple of games or in a few games where Jadeja was needed to finish strong, he didn't. Right? Maybe they might even look at that. And there's a difference between Jadeja is a great T20, a great Test cricketer, but sometimes even in Test matches you've seen that he's lacked that awareness, especially when batting with the tail. I think even if they try Stokes as a finisher, I'm not sure it will work, but I can understand why they'll try and do that because they will probably want a little more sort of reliability. Which might, and it might work on a few pitches. It might work in Eden, it might work in Wankhede, it might work in Bangalore, but I don't think it's going to work everywhere. Though the numbers are obviously in the favor of Stokes opening, and I hope they do that. But I'm just saying that overall, Stokes just brings that aura with him that that come the difficult or the most pressure situation, he's someone who you can expect to stand up and do something, which you can't say for most cricketers. And earlier I used to be of the school of thought who used to think that at the end it's eventually the skill and maybe there isn't something like clutch. But then I have seen KL Rahul and I have seen Pant in Test matches and I have seen so many other examples that I've started to believe a little bit in this concept that yes, and obviously there's Virat Kohli as well, who's an example of of
Yeah.
this concept. So I think that somewhere Stokes's price value and Stokes' impact is also a little bit beyond numbers. It's hard to quantify it, but it is there.
Hmm.
But
With that,
the
yeah,
yeah, the thing over
no,
here
I,
is like our CSK are the right opposite of RCB. Like RCB have only right-handers, and these guys have only left-handers. Again, if you're bringing in Stokes as your finisher, then you have Shivam Dubey, 5, 6, 7. Everybody are left-handers.
Except
Like
Ruturaj
it's the
and
same
Dhoni.
thing. Like from the top, even if you're playing with Conway, then Ruturaj and Conway left-hander, Moin Ali left-hander. In between comes Ambati Raidu, and then you have four left-handers again.
Hmm.
Like, you can't have a similar kind of batting style as your finishers. That
I
that is
agree.
going to be very easy. So
I,
this is
so
the
if,
reason.
if if Stokes plays as a finisher at 6 or 7, then I see someone like Dubey getting dropped.
Ooh,
Okay. With that, we
that
can
would
move
be
on to
that.
the
Yeah.
next team. I guess we still have six more teams to go.
so I mean Delhi. I think we've covered it a lot. Again,
Yeah.
not sure if they will be very happy with how the auction went. Uh,
Yeah.
Shub here was pretty happy after they bought Phil Salt, but again, uh, they
Yeah.
needed replacement players, but whatever replacements they bought were predominantly for top order players.
Not enough. Not. I mean, there's literally no one to finish matches. So that's the biggest red flag I see in this squad,
Yeah.
and I want to keep it short because we are gone through Delhi. So I think we can
So
move it.
in Delhi's case, you're basically depending a lot on Akshar Patel, Sarfraz Khan, and Lalit Yadav to do the job. Either of these three to
That
do the
is.
job.
Hmm.
I would
Yeah,
not call that ideal.
yeah, finishing is the biggest issue with Delhi. Let's move to Gujarat quickly because I think Gujarat. One second, Gujarat, you're on mute. Yeah,
I was saying that Delhi have probably finished their chances of a title once again quite well at the auction. They've done a good
yeah.
Um,
job of
I mean,
finishing.
the only hope I have from Delhi now is that somehow they have Pant opening. They can even drop Warner and play Riley Rosso. I'm fine with that because if they have Pant opening, at least there's something. There'll be a reason for me to watch Delhi games. Apart from that,
Well,
I'm not really looking forward
yeah,
to
bhai,
Delhi's games. I mean,
that would be a bit
at
harsh,
least
yeah.
at least at least I'll watch it only till the time Prithvi Shaw is there.
That would be a bit harsh again. Like if Pant is batting as an opener again, that even more weakens your finishing role. That even more
Not
finishing
really. You
weakens
can,
your
I
finish role.
mean, not really. You can have both Riley Russo and Roman Powell at around five
See,
six.
one thing
So
I'm quite sure of. One thing I'm quite sure of is that if this team really needs to plug their holes, they need to have Mitchell Marsh batting at 5 and Powell at 6, because uh, they need Mitchell Marsh's game against pace to finish strong. If Mitchell Marsh bats at 3, then you are left with Sarfaraz, Aksar, Pant, and Pant's issue of of his range on the offside is now well documented. It's something that I was saying, when even when people were saying that why can't Pant be a finisher. Pant's issues of being a finisher are well documented. Sarfaraz will obviously not know when he's going to play what game and when he will be dropped. So that is another issue. So Delhi's best chance of covering up their holes of finishing is have Marsh at 5, Powell at 6, and then hope that Akshar at 7 can do the job. And I'm just saying hope. And I am sure that they're not going to move Marsh at 5. They need to do something similar with Marsh, that what they did with Stoinis, because Stoinis, when he came to Delhi, was an opener for Melbourne Stars,
was an
but he
opener. Yeah.
started to bat at 5, and Hetmeyer was batting at
Hmm.
6. They need to
And
do
I just
something similar.
want to make one quick point about Delhi. I mean, we've spoken about so much about their batting, and it's like their bowling is only not gear basically. It's and Kuldeep. They would hope that Kuldeep also has a good season, but their Indian pace bowling is like probably the weakest of all sides right now, along with CSK. Probably, I mean, if Deepak Chahar is fit, I think CSK are better than DC when it comes to Indian pace bowling. So again, it just feels like DC
I'm
are
not even I'm not even sure if Kuldeep. Like, I know people say that Kuldeep had a very good season last time, but wickets alone aren't everything. His economy rate was in the range of 8.5, and or probably more than that. And if you take out his performances against KKR, then in the remaining games his economy rate was more than 9, and his average was up as well. So Kuldeep also isn't a banker of a bowler in this format. He can't bowl in the power play. He can't bowl at the death. He's mostly a middle overs bowler. Uh, they'll hope that somehow Akshar does well again. Khalil had a very good season last time, uh, but again, with him being injured, he's also not played any cricket in the recent months. They'll again have to rely on someone like Sakaria to step up, or maybe even Mukesh Kumar, and the problem with DC's think tank, and is particularly that a youngster gets a run at DC if he's done well in 2 games. If a youngster doesn't do well in 2 games, then he will likely get sidelined. So that's another concern over there. So maybe, who knows, Ishan Sharma might just play a few games for Delhi if their bowling doesn't click, and that's not a possibility that you want to be looking at.
And
That,
me and Shub, I guess we were discussing it yesterday as well, or maybe Shub might have said it in the videos as well. Like they were in search for a backup for Kuldeep Yadav, and they didn't get it at all.
and
They were
it's not like
least interested.
there were a positive options because literally Murugan Ashwin and all were picked up in the
Murugan
accelerated
Ashwin
also towards
Yeah,
the end.
Murugan
Murugan Ashwin,
Ashwin
you
went
had Mayank Markande, you
unsold.
had.
No,
No.
no, he went to SRH towards the end.
I'm
He
not
Okay,
went to
sure.
towards the
SRH.
end, yeah.
I
I'm
guess
not
he
sure
went.
they even tried, because they could have, with the budget that they have, they could have got Tabrez Shamsi if they didn't
And
want to go for an Indian option, because they already had Praveen Dubey and Vicky Oswal in the squad. Because
or a
Hmm.
Sampa, like
honestly,
anyone, literally. It's
honestly, it doesn't make sense to have four batters who can bat 4 overs, half of your overseas quota batting in the top 3. It doesn't make any
Hmm.
sense. So and they, after Cameron Green, and maybe Sam Curran, I'm not sure if they bid for Stokes. After these two players, they didn't even try and get an all-rounder. They could have easily tried for Vize, they could have tried for Raza, they could have tried for
Chanaka, like
Shanika.
how is it? Dasun
they,
Chanaka. I
they,
mean,
they,
come
Yeah,
on.
they,
yeah.
they, they,
Cool, guys. We get that. We get that. Cool. Let's move on. Let's wrap up GT as well. So again, I mean, if from a GT fan perspective, I wouldn't be very happy with the auction. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm still. I feel there was some sort of complacency. They are the holders of the trophy. They felt that they can get away with stuff. They're trying to replicate CSK, in my opinion, by buying players like
Yeah.
Kane Williamson and then splurging so much on Shivam Mavi. But at the end, they really surprised me by going for Josh Little, and that is your backup for Alzari Joseph.
And Mohit Sharma
I mean,
also they purchased, I guess.
Mohit Sharma they bought. I mean, I don't know. Ashish Nair was pretty happy after buying him. Maybe he already
I
spoken
guess
to him and said that
he
le lunga
no,
there ko
I guess
tension
he
mat
got
lo."
another net bowler.
Yeah, I mean the concerns I guess still remains the same. They'll be relying on the clutch batting ability of Rahul Tewatia and Rashid Khan, which I mean
So
might not happen season after season, but uh, I mean whatever we say about GT might come back to haunt us.
exactly. I'm not even going to say a word about Gujarat Titans after what happened last season. It's like unbelievable that still unbelievable that they went on to win the
Yeah.
IPL. But it's just
Then
like can't wait to watch Shubman Gill and Kane Williamson bat together for 12
yeah,
overs.
that is what the problem is for
Yeah.
them. No,
Oh, I
like
mean from GT, let's
their
just no,
backup
you
is also
finish
so
your point.
slow. The backup is
That's
also
fine.
so
That's fine.
slow.
GT will find a way. GT will find a way. So I think
Yes.
Gurkirat will have to leave now. So we'll say goodnight to Paji. And we'll definitely
Sorry, couldn't,
connect soon.
sorry, can't stay longer to complete this. Have to go somewhere, have a commitment,
No
but
issues. No issues. We'll wrap proceedings up in the next 5 minutes or so. But thanks for your time, Gurkirat.
thank you.
See
And
you.
I hope whosoever joined us enjoyed this. And just a small request, please do like the video. Like I say,
And
every
please
Friday,
subscribe. Please spread the
every
word.
Friday.
Yeah.
This time there was no deep point. Probably
But
we'll
this
try
was
and
a
see.
very deeper point,
A deeper point.
which is 7 hour plus long now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
we'll see you soon, Gurkirat.
bye.
Yep. Moving to KKR now, I think, in my opinion, with the kind of position they were in and the money that they have and the options that they had, they did the best they could. I'm like I mentioned earlier, I'm happy with the David Wiese buy. He's someone who can contribute in both facets. They have a Bangladesh bias, so they ended up buying
Litton,
Litton
Litton
and
Das
Shakib.
and
I mean,
Shakib.
neither of those buys make a lot of sense to me. I would rather have them buy a Will Smeed,
Or
looking
Phil
up to the
Salt for
future.
that matter. Phil Salt is a wicket keeper
Oh,
as
oh,
well. So they
yeah,
I
but
guess they
I think
wanted.
Delhi grabbed Phil Salt, so maybe they could have bought Will Smeed instead of Shakib in the accelerator auction. But maybe Shakib is a backup for Narayan in their minds.
Hmm.
Uh, a good buy for them was Weber Aurora. So this means that they can actually not play Saudi if they don't want to, and then just
Yeah.
bolster their death bowling with Lockie Ferguson.
Yeah, but again, one thing is that it's important also from our perspective that we should not place too much trust on the likes of Vaibhav Aurora and all. Like you never, if there is no guarantee that they are like bankers who will definitely provide you this or that. It's like I
Hmm.
know Vaibhav is probably vying to become the next Sandeep Sharma. That will be a great achievement if he does. But if you could just display the squad once more, the KKR squad.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's an end of an era, right? Sandeep Sharma went unsold. In my opinion,
Exactly.
it's end of an era. Yeah.
And it's a shame. So, as we all predicted, I guess they got Jagadish and no
Hmm.
surprises whatsoever. I think we all had. And the biggest surprise, I would say, is the purchase of Litan Das because, again, there were a lot of other options who they could have gone for with wicket keeper. I mean, there is no positive wicket keepers in franchise cricket, but they went for Litan Das. So, it's a curious purchase to say the least. And we already discussed the Shakib purchase as well, which is again, he's not this or that. He's another containing option for you when you already have Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan. Uh, there is a very noticeable lack of uh, pace in their bowling department. I can see, except Lockie Ferguson. That might be a
So
slight
you
concern.
you mean to say they don't have an option to have their batters tested against pace bowling even in the nets?
Yeah, the Nets.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
they
don't
hope
have.
that Umesh clocks. Again, another thing is like they're banking on Umesh to have the kind of season he did last year, which let's be honest, it'll be an incredible achievement if he does because We
Yeah.
are we were all like taken aback by that. So Anirudh, any holes you see in this 11? And quickly we can say that and move on to Mumbai after that.
They,
A lot of
it's
holes.
very simple. It's very simple.
Any positives you see?
They don't have death bowling. They don't have death bowling at all. I'm trying to find
Yeah.
out
So I
who
mean,
is their best bowler.
so I think Ferguson and Russell, they'll have to rely on these two. Let's see. Russell, hopefully they field him at the short third man so that he remains fit and doesn't face any unwanted
Wicketkeeper.
injuries.
I seriously, no, over here, I seriously feel Under Russell is going to be that one player who's going to be uh, maybe an impact player, kind of transmissions, impact
Hmm.
player substitution. I feel he's going to be there for batting for sure. So and then change it off, get in some other bowler maybe and strengthen it. However, Russell gives you only wickets, and he comes into ball at what 18th over.
Yeah, I mean because
Uh,
he is their best death bowler
that's
by a mile in the
by a
last few years.
mile. I know
Yeah.
that, but
So yep. Let's move on to MI next, and again, all of us were surprised with the buy of Cameroon Green. In my opinion, this puts David Brevitt's spot in jeopardy because
Mhm.
buying a player for 17 crores only to bench him would be as stupid a thing as there can be.
Yeah.
So I think that
They yeah. So that is the on the positive side of things, they've clearly upgraded on their pace bowling front because they went from Timmel Mills and Riley Merritt to Jai Richardson and Jason Berendoff. I think
yeah.
uh, it's and Jofra will be fit for this season as well, so that's a positive. And finally, a maiden IPL contract for Shams Mulani after toiling hard in the domestic circuit for so many years, and a home purchase as well, playing in front of his home crowd. So that's a good thing. Again, Shams Mulani. I don't know how effective he will be, but we'll have to see how they use him, whether they'll use him in the first place. Because I think right now we can probably say that Kumar Kartikeya did enough towards the back end of last season to warrant place in the starting 11. And the only
Hmm.
problem, like you said, so Rohit and Kishan open, Surya bats at 3. Uh, Definitely Tilak Verma bats at 4 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, I
You
mean
have
Tilak bats at three, Sky bats at four,
Right,
and
four,
this is
and
where
you have
then
Team
Green.
David at 5 or 6. So these 5 players are fixed. Now the question
Hmm.
again is who between Devol Brevis and Cameron Green, and where do they bat? That's a big
Yeah,
question. Are they looking at Cameron Green as like a Pollard replacement? Because Cameron Green has not finished, has not played as a finisher in T20Is or T20s. He's not played a lot of T20s, in fact. And if you
hmm.
play Cameron up top, where does it leave Kishan, or are you looking at Rohit as your middle order option? There's a lot of confusion that arises due to this purchase of Cameron Green. And there's another
Sure.
question: who's your number 7 now? Ramandeep kind of played a few matches there, but if you could display a squad once more, I'm just trying to think who a number 7 can be. I don't see a
I think
lot of.
Ramandeep or Ritik Shokin are the only two options.
Hrithik Shokin is there, but which means that then you have to play Green if you're playing Hrithik Shokin, because I don't
Yeah,
think Hrithik Shokin is a 4 overs bowler, right? So
yeah,
that's
but they can't play Green and Brevis
or
because they
or
have
maybe
to play.
Shams Mulani can play
no,
seven.
actually,
Maybe a hitter.
the actual thing is they can go with Brevis, Green, David, and Archer. If Archer is fit and they are going with Archer, they can play with these four and substitute David Brevis with some Indian, like in your
But
second innings.
that's the point. There is no
That
some
is what,
Indian, right?
but
There is
There's no
no
in,
that
pacer.
is why.
there's no Indian pacer. Yeah.
Yeah, still,
Yeah.
even if you want these players to play, then they are gonna bat at 5, 6, 7, 8. And
Hmm.
that is the problem.
I think almost we can all agree that right now it feels like Bumrah, Archer, and Jai Richardson kind of feels like the the three seamers that they need to be fielding, or Jason Berendoff based on conditions. But
Yeah.
there is no way that Mumbai can afford to not pick two overseas seamers. Look at their pace bowling depth in the
Yeah,
Indian.
yeah, yeah. I think
If
they've already decided because that's the formula that worked for them as well in the past. So
and
they are
if,
trying to.
if that's the case, then why would you? spend 18 crores on Cameron Green? I mean, that's a
Exactly.
very baffling because
Very tough to understand.
it's exactly, and it's not like I can totally understand such a purchase if Deval Brevis had a very poor season last season and he had been struggling in the domestic circuit this season. But the guy scored what, a 20 ball 50 or whatever last season. He hit a
Hmm.
175-meter six and then
Yeah.
he just
They
hit almost broke Chris Gale's record a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
And
162.
and and after all that, would it make any sense to bench Deval Brevis after he's shown that he can hang at this level? At bringing in someone who has played like 15 T20s and his only notable achievement is scoring 20-25 runs of Bhuvneshwar Kumar up front in Mohali. I mean, I don't
Those
really
were
I
know.
mean,
the only two
this is
innings we
where
batted.
Cameron. So this is where Cameron Green overall is a surprise, right? I mean, you never know. Is he has he been picked as a batting all rounder or a bowling all rounder? And probably this is something we'll only be able to figure out in due course. Let's move to RCB next, a team that almost had no nothing to do in the auction. I think apart from Topley, I don't recall them.
Excellent bite. Topley is an
Yeah,
excellent bite,
that's
and yeah, and
apart from
yeah, so much. Sorry, finish. Yeah,
no, no, I'm just saying that. I mean, apart from Topley and Will Jacks, they did not even try to buy any other
yeah,
big name. All they just went in a few fringe players. But
exactly.
Topley, I agree, is a very good buy. They needed someone who can be a backup for Josh Hazelwood. At this moment, I'm even okay with them starting with Topley. So that's there. Will Jacks
Exactly.
again, maybe condition specific.
It's
But
a Maxwell
apart from
backup.
that,
I see him
But
as a Maxwell off
that,
spinner
yeah, see,
who can
that is
bash.
over here again. If you are bringing in as a Maxwell backup, Maxwell is your top player. You can't have somebody. You can't have a player who's Phil Jacks not proven in IPL, or like in very rarely you see in T20s that okay fine in NatWest T20s he scores, but you can't have him as a backup player for Glenn Maxwell, right?
A punt, I guess. I mean, yeah,
But
they've taken a punt, but
so that is
uh,
where they went. They they started betting for Harry Brook as well because they clearly
oh
saw
yes,
him as a replacement for Glenn Maxwell. But obviously, other teams had higher purse than them. Uh,
I
I mean, the issues with RCB is the players they already have and not what they couldn't buy. I mean, no one would have thought that DK would have the kind of season he did. They tried to make a batter out of Shahbaz Ahmed. Kohli
to an extent.
is on a downward trajectory. So is Faf du Plessis. So and Rajat Patidar was not even in their squad, and he was a replacement player. So I think RCB again they'll need a lot of things to click.
Exactly.
It's
with all these things, the most frustrating part is you never see Finn Allen opening.
Oh, I was
yeah
about to
That,
ask.
that is like
because
ridiculous. That
because
is.
Duplessis is
because of
there.
the
Duplessis is
captaincy
there.
call that they made, right? And even
I
they
mean,
they
That's so
they went in for
ridiculous.
Ben Stokes. They went in for Ben Stokes. They were betting for Mayank Agarwal. I mean, I was just wondering
and Green also, I guess,
what are these what are they
I,
they bid for Green as well. I was just
I,
wondering, especially for Mayank and Stokes, that what these guys are trying to do. Stokes I could understand, but you're never going to drop Faf du Plessis. So why are you bidding for
yeah,
Stokes?
you can't drop off to Plessis and Virat Kohli is not ready to bat at number three. Then Finn
Yeah, and
Allen,
he
you
shouldn't because his utility decreases.
yeah, you have such a great starter and he's just warming the bench.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, I
very
was about to,
frustrating.
but I was about to say that you can look at Finn Allen as a new signing almost because he didn't play a single match last year. So
I,
Of
you can see
course.
him
from
as an addition to the squad as well.
from 3 years he has been a new
So maybe,
signing
so
almost.
maybe, so maybe that's your Maxwell replacement, and then
Yeah,
Kohli pushes down to
potentially,
three,
but
I mean yeah, if it is then yeah, that's good. Fair enough.
and then
Let Faf du Plessis bat at number three.
and then
I,
who thrashes spin? I mean, you guys have to figure out if you have Finn
Rajat
Allen, Faf,
Patidar.
yeah,
Rajat
him
Patidar.
alone,
because and,
because no one three places above him and no one three places below him.
Somesh, if
I
you could
mean,
just display the squad once more, right?
yeah.
There's also another. I mean, you can probably call it a whole to a certain extent because, again, guys, we all can agree that DK in 1,000 years is never going to have the kind of season he had last year.
He's not gonna. He's
Yeah,
not gonna.
He's not gonna, right? And I think they have kind of probably picked Sonu Yadav as a finisher, probably, keeping in mind. But uh, again, who's your finisher now? DK is your finisher, I agree. But again, it feels like they are all banking dangerously, banking on the guys who are nearing 40s, almost Duplessis, DK, and Kohli, who's on a kind of a, like Somesh said,
Downfall.
he's on a downward spiral as he performed in the World Cup. I think we can all agree that he's no longer the player he once was. So, and I would have liked for them to have gone for a power play basher, an Indian power play basher, because that is clearly missing in them. Or in that
But
case, you
kaun
have
hai? There is no one actually.
scout. Now you can. It's not like they have written
Yeah,
a scout.
and maybe so
That
the
is,
fringe that they have bought, maybe they would have done some scouting. And I mean, it's not and the downward trajectory is not just in the batting department. I feel Siraj, you never know which Siraj will turn up. Harshal Patel
Hazelwood
has
also.
been one of
Hazelwood
the
has
most
had a very poor last year
and
in T20.
Harshal Patel has, I
Yeah.
mean, he was hit for maximum sixes. I mean, he was short in India 11. He basically bowled himself out of the 11 while
Exactly.
being short. Okay, moving from RCB to the last team finally after 7 hours 44 minutes, and it is so last in our minds that we don't have even have a graphic for them, which is Punjab.
Yeah.
But uh, I mean,
They
they plugged a very big hole by buying Sam Curran, breaking the bank, and they still have around what 10 crores
12
remaining.
crores.
So
Yeah, 12,
12
12.
crores remaining. Yeah.
For what
So
I don't know, but yeah. That,
again, I mean,
so
the only thing with Punjab is not the only thing. Again, they'll have to find an 11 and stick to it. In my opinion, with Curran in, Rajapaksa goes
yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
they'll have to find someone to bat at three. Maybe even Sam Curran can bat at three, to be honest, because they have Jitesh and Shah Rukh Khan who can be their finishers. I would want them to back Brar at eight because that lengthens their batting lineup and give them a bowling option. And I would want them to play Ellis ahead of Rabada.
So, just one point, Somesh. I think the purchase of Sam Curran has done a lot of damage to Ellis's chances, because Ellis is your death specialist, and now you have Sam Curran also, who will probably be a death specialist. So, I highly
But
doubt.
but but they have Arshdeep to as
So
the,
Ashit is also there. So I'll let Anirudh first talk about the signing of Kavirappa. So Anirudh, what does he
yeah.
bring to the Punjab 11? Can you just talk about his strengths, what he brings to the table, and how he will affect, how he will kind of improve this Punjab side? He's a
So
Vaibhav Arora replacement, I guess, basically.
yeah, basically, Vidwat was very good during the death overs in even in the Syed Mustaq Ali.
So
So
is he a death
alongside,
specialist or a power play specialist? What is he exactly? If you can.
he's basically like Arshdeep. He has the ability to swing, but as well as like he bowls well. He has a very good knuckle ball.
Hmm.
That is one of his advantage. So him with partnership, I thought like uh, if one team is interested in Vidvat Kaverappa, I thought somebody would have gone with Vaishak Vijay Kumar as well, because
Hmm.
both these bowlers were very good in the Karnataka squad in the Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy, if irrespective of where they qualified or not, but both of them were very good at the death. So that is one thing. Again, you have problem over here is you have a lot of bowlers who are good at death. Arshdeep, you have Nathan Ellis, Sam Curran. So
Hmm.
it again becomes
Power play
for
issues.
him,
But I
for
think
him
but
to
I think Sam
bypass
Curran
all
and
these guys.
Arshdeep and Sam Curran are all face bowlers in my opinion. I mean, it's not
That's
that
true.
they're good with the
Now,
new
Yeah,
ball
they
as well.
are
So
all
it's
face
it's it's a
bowlers.
luxury.
They are all face bowlers, and you can keep in mind they'll be bowling most of their matches in Mohali,
hmm.
which
Yeah.
has a
So
bit
at
of
this point of time, I'm
bite.
more worried about Punjab's batting than bowling, to be honest.
Yeah, let's actually try to figure out what their top seven will look like. So Dhawan and Barstow opening seems like a given at this point.
Yeah.
And at
Jitesh Sharma at number three.
uh, uh, would you say Jitesh or okay? So we are all thinking that Rajapaksa won't start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rajapaksa won't
I'm
start.
thinking
Okay.
Because
Rajapaksa
because
won't start.
because
Uh,
Livingston, Sam Curran, Ellis,
okay.
and
In
Bairstow.
no particular order, okay, in no particular order, Dhawan Barstow, and in no particular order, Livingston is a starter. You have Jitesh, who's a starter. You have Shah Rukh Khan, who's a starter, and you have Sam Curran, who's a
Rishi.
starter.
and
That's
maybe Rishi
that's
Dhawan as well.
Yeah,
that's your
maybe. Yeah, Rishi Dhawan as well.
that's your six fixed. You need one more. Who am I missing out on? There's a
So
seventh
maybe
guy.
so seventh and eighth would be Rishi Dhawan and Harpreet Brar, and to finish up
Or
would be Rahul Chahar, Ellis, and Arshdeep. So
what do you think?
that
What do you
gives
guys
you,
think of Sikandar Raza's chances of making it to the 11? Is it
but in place of
okay?
whom? That's the question.
Okay, so Livingston, Barstow, and Karan are sure shot starters. That's no
Uh,
question whatsoever that these three are going to be benched. So I highly doubt if they would go with an all-Indian pace attack. They might want at least. I mean, they purchased Rabada for 9 crore, right? Like last year. So although Rabada is not as good as he was once, and he's probably the Rabada the bowler on paper is better than Rabada the bowler actual end product right now. So, but it's too much of a risk to go with Kavirappa, Arshdeep, and Rahul Chahar, Sam Curran, and probably one more all rounder as your fifth bowler. It's a big risk. So,
mm,
balance is going to be an issue, and I don't think if they can. Their Indian pace bowling is a bit light. So that's Baltej Singh is there. I think he's a decent player
Malte
by
Ganda.
mm. Cool.
yeah.
All right. So finally, we are done with all the teams. After 7 hours, 50 minutes later, all are done. You
The
can
show
you can
alone
see
has gone.
the
A big day
you can
comes
see
to an
the
end.
relief on my
Thank you,
face.
Lee.
The most work heavy day for us, guys. Thanks a lot for being for being in office for this long a
12
time
hours.
and making it possible. And thanks for everyone who joined, who listened to us, who commented. Guys, please do subscribe to the
And
channel,
the
because as you see,
people
we do a lot
working
of hard work to keep this running.
tirelessly off
And do,
screen, Sakshi
yeah,
Shweta,
of
and then we
course,
had Bastav and
Sakshi,
Hardik
Shweta,
doing the
even
blog.
yep,
Akash, special mention to Akash and Shub, who are probably
yeah, Akash and I have a reel to record as well.
yeah, it's not over. I mean, it's
It's not over.
we are just getting
Yeah.
started, unfortunately.
Cool. Thanks, guys. We'll end the stream now. We'll see
Yeah.
you.
See you.